Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Jovanna and I am a scientific artist currently starting grad school. This video is about how I find inspiration for my artwork. This includes finding art from other artists, taking inspiration from them to keep a running list of ideas, as well as how I do research so that way I'm able to use these ideas for my art. If you came from my introduction artist video, like I said there, my art is based off of scientific themes. It keeps a boundary for me when I'm looking for ideas and inspiration for my own art. Before I did decide to do scientific art, I had choice paralysis, and this was very difficult for me because I wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but I needed to really just bring myself to a center focus because I was so overwhelmed with all these different ideas of art that I wanted to make that I ended up just not making any art. By keeping myself in the boundary of scientific art, what that lets me do is run wild, but within that boundary. Inside of each sketchbook that I have, if I'm like sketching or doing something else, and if this idea just pops into my head, then I'll be able to easily just flip through to I think the first 2 or 3 pages, and then I'll write that idea there and revisit it later on. In regards to the notes app, this is something that I just started doing. It is a notes app that I've connected from my iPhone to my iPad, so that way regardless of which one that I'm updating, it's going to reflect into the others. In regards to taking inspiration from other artists, I know that some people are very much against this. I feel that you can take inspiration from other artists, but it has to be in a specific type of way because you can't just steal art ideas from other people. Every few months, what I'll do is I'll search the internet, go across different types of websites that I see other artists post to, and then from there, what I'm doing is taking screenshots of work that speak to me, and then from there, I'm putting them into this Notion page. As I'm adding them, I'm also making little comments about the work and what it is that I specifically appreciate about this piece of art. So we'll look at the first 3 that I have on my Notion page, just so you get the idea of how I take this inspiration. For the first one, what we see is this image of a bunch of different types of these fish, and it looks like they're on this cube, but this cube also is solid where one is kind of standing on top, but also we see one that's kind of going through the sides and in it, almost as if this cube is half solid but also half liquid. And so the notes that I took from this is I like the 3D effect from the upper left and the upper right animals, the 2 animals that make the solid and the liquid. I also like the limited space of the tank, surrounded by the black background. I'm not a big fan of white backgrounds. And so this was just something that when I saw this piece of work, I thought, oh, this is really, really cool. But instead of me just taking this piece of work and, copying it piece by piece, what I did is that I really sat there and analyzed this work to see, okay, what is it that makes me really enjoy this piece? Maybe in the future I can implement these types of ideas into my own work. So we'll look at the second one now. The second one is just a simple illustration of a butterfly, but it has a little bit of a twist to it, something that's very unique about it. And so what I wrote down is that I like the inclusion of the tag in the image that kind of makes it seem more of a museum specimen instead of just a normal illustration. And that's something that I really appreciate. Next, we'll look at the third image that I have saved. You can see this one, it's more of a technical illustration or painting, but it's also mixed with digital elements. What I wrote for this one is that I enjoyed the great example of how it looks like digital with manual art. Taking a painting and putting information with it. I've always wondered how artists do this. How are they taking these images and putting them in journals? And so once I saw this piece of work, I really sat there and just looked at it, just seeing, okay, what's the digital component? And then what's the technical component? And so that's how I saw that the image in the background looks like it may be made from like watercolor or gouache. Then I think, okay, how did they get this digital component on it? Okay, a few ideas pop into my head. They could have taken a really good professional photo of it, or maybe this image was on canvas or paper, so they were able to do a photocopy of it. Then from there, they probably took this image, put it into Adobe or put it into Procreate, and then they were able to do the digital information on top of this. And so I thought that's something really cool that I would like to do with my own art. I think I appreciate this one because at the end of this, you still have 2 pieces of art. You have the one that's just the illustration, the painting, but then you have the one that's also the illustration, the painting, but it's with this educational material. And so that's something I really appreciate, and I think it's something that I can incorporate into some pieces that I already have. So this is what I was taught is the professional way of stealing art from other artists. So usually once I've gone through looking at this Notion page, after that, sometimes that'll kind of give me an idea of what I want to do. But if that hasn't worked out, then from there's other steps to take. Nothing spoke to me from my Notion, so I went through some of my textbooks to see, okay, what are a few things that may pop up to me? And so what came through was doing the Earth's layers and the layers of the atmosphere. And so I thought, okay, cool, how can I make this thing come to life for me? So from there, what I did is I just simply Googled it. We found a few websites that shows me more information than what my textbooks provided. So that was additional information for me to go off of to help me feel more comfortable to be able to communicate this type of information through my art. Some things that I will do is, besides textbooks and my Notion saves, is that I'll just go through and look at Google Scholar. I'll look at different journals that I follow just to see what it is that they recently update, to see if that gives me some kind of inspiration to go off of. It's probably taken me a week or two to do all this research, to do all of this stuff to help me come up with an idea. Usually at this point, I'll have something in mind. So that's pretty much it. I hope that this video can show you the different ways that somebody can come into making art, because there's so many different ways that people find inspiration for their work. And that's the beauty of being an artist, is that we see the world in different ways. And so this is the way that I see the world. I love research. I love science. And so this is how I come up with the ideas for my art, because this is my passion and these are the things that I'm truly interested in. So whatever it is that you're interested in, dive into it if you feel that you want to learn more about it. Because for myself, when I become this expert in the topic that I'm interested in, that just gives me more excitement to push forward with the final piece of work, and so that way I can share this information with everyone else. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. I appreciate you. I love you. And if you'd love to follow along and see my other content, I have my link tree in my bio if you'd love to see more. Thank you so much, and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.